Coming into dimensional settings or rotation spin cycles, you have to really understand the position and how it comes into the helix. A helix is a hydro setting. It's all calculated H2O. It's a plasma generation light stream. You have to understand why there's water containment locations inside of you. The higher the channel operation streamlines, the higher you get coming communication to its vortex line setting. It's about understanding how to use the water inside of you. And every time you take a drink, what are you doing? You're traveling faster, 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 faster. The containment line center comes into a position location your theta line system. Now, it's a videograph line center rotations under water calculation setting. So it's like taking a camera and set locations in a plasma seal, which is plastic. So you go underwater and you can go like this. If you understand the theta communication system, try to get into the monofocal line center line rotations. The set communication system sets line settings. So it's trying to understand how the chakra system is all position location of your DNA. It's a product of line setting that sets all position location to its tether. Yeah, communication to ground line setting. Hi, center and interference. Yeah. Setting communications to all of the channel operation streamlines. Now you got DNA strands, 12 line sending line rotations, 24 position to ground settings, 12 line centers atmospheres, 12 line center location as line setting. In position locations, 48 operation locations of framing setting location of radiograph screen line settings, 72 computers operation setting locations to your 12 data track locations, 144 to crystalline setting. Now, coming into the review location to your sun, set communication set lines is all levels of positions of zeros and ones. So it gets a little bit more complicated when you get into the sun communication cycle. For example, setting communication to a sun line is to understand how to get information location 114 chakras. Setting communication system is allocated to timelines, time streams, time calculation line settings, product of line center rotation interference, parallel division locations, paradigms, paradox, polarity shifts, polar shifts, the compulsory setting line rotations, position location direct line settings, all levels of high center rotations, dimensional door line setting. So what the avatar is doing is going through map sequence location of codes, setting communication line center to expansion of the mind line center rotations, and you in position line centers trying to understand its position location to its location. Okay, setting line, setting location to its line setting. All right, so we'll go into the review location of the sun. All right, you guys are in your position line direct location, emotion line center to moon setting. Face recognition lines are 4-line tracks, and if there's then its position location of its directions. Trees down at form lights and high center locations. All levels of channel offers streamlines. Sun is very complicated because now you're coming into pixel active stream of a T reception line of a communication system, understanding the grounds of operation, understanding the powers of operation, understanding the atmospheres of operation, and understanding the swirls of calculation dimensional setting, how sets up wormholes in rotation setting and calculation streamlines. Okay, streamline position or calculation setting. Okay, so that's a double helix. All right, that's a double helix. It's in line center rotations, 2 atom line center rotation system, 2 atom line center location system, line directions, center communication into its triangulation. So remember, you have to understand the triangulation of everything because that's how it sets locations. You get an XT1000, you get a UFO line rotation, setting communication scan lines, setting communication scan lines, open another ground setting, rotation setting. Okay. Setting signals and dimensional rotation and interference sets calculations into position. Kaleidoscope's line center sets rotation setting line position location to center operation streamlines into center communication of sun lines. Opens all position location of its directions. So, getting into the review of the sun is trying to understand the zero operation signals and high interference position locations. So, once you come into the sun, the line center locations, it's kind of like the communication to the moon setting, but with position locations, the sun comes into line setting. In Monday, we have 7 to 8 track lines, 7 equal line condition locations into sun, your sun position locations. All right, so we come into the systematic, we come into unified line center into its neutralization. Setting calculation is sun lines and rotations to its box location of its theta line center of a T reception line connection in set locations, waving patterns in 3 lines of signal locations. Right? Open all channels of dimensional line setting and rotations to its box frequency and calculation streamlines. High center generation light settings set a new ground line center rotation setting and rotation locations. Open all channel operation streamlines and positional line centers, center communication to its flywheel and set line setting into its water containment setting. Opens water patterns and communication to 7-line tracks into a higher line into a magnetic highway formation setting. opens all communication, electrical light settings and rotation, and position location and ground line setting into a magnetic field into electrical line setting. Position line direction is all calculated and modified how you set lines of communication data lines. Day lines and night lines are in communication line center and high interference position location, how you see the sun line setting rotations into a pixel active stream into the astrologics location setting. Setting communications into realm line setting. So each realm on your pixel activation stream is sun lines of communication and how fast it's going per second, per channel, per operation. You got a 24 line setting, set communications into another round box, sets communication set line position location into 0, 1, setting into 0, 0, 1, setting to 0, 0, 0, 1, setting communication of 2, 0, 0, 1, setting communication to 1000 line setting, setting communications into 2000 line setting, setting communication line setting notification 3000 line setting, setting communication line setting rotations into 1 million track locations, setting communication line interference, set communications, all through the sun lines, and a 24 line setting and a clock line setting through 1 second equal line conditions of 24 realms in position, set calculation. That's all levels of the sun. Per second, per channel, per operation, per square, per mile. The calculated set lines and high line center in position location is over factor line positions. Moon sets the emotion, sun sets the calculations. Okay? Moon sets the emotion, sun sets the calculation. You understand? You have to stand the communication of the moon, motion line setting, in position location 114. You have to send the sun communication of calculation to its pixel active streamlines of light code settings. So the position line center of zero gravity line rotations comes into graph lines into 144, high center communications into high center locations of power generation light streams in 144, setting communications in a 3-line setting, and a magnetic highway information line setting in rotation to its tube line position in 3-track locations. Okay. Sunsets line setting. Sun's here, right? Reference and communications, platitude line setting, platitude visual locations, triangulation in set locations. Sun is in all line setting into its space in communication to its timeline setting into high center interference and direct location into center operation lines in an orbit communications into 3 circles and set communication of its round line setting. Okay, it's very complicated what the sun is. Once you get in the sun, the position of the antimantle of your crystalline changes the position location of crystals, set communication. And this is where we come into crystals now, right? Your sun is all calculated to 114 line settings into their communication, your DNA line that sets lines of 12 line rotations, inline rotations per second, per channel, per operation, per square, per mile through your rainbow stream settings. Each TV reception in box line setting is a position location of a radio signal. Gamma interference radiation line settings sets communication into all levels of your satellite setting. Your tree stand all position location comes in all calculations to its box frequency, to its TV reception line, into its sonar communication of 4-track line settings, high line setting, and box line setting, its sun communication, a dimensional setting, and 12 line signals, and pixel active streamline and rotation. So getting in positions of the sun is extremely powerful. Okay. You have to really understand what the sun is. It's all levels of creating line position locations into the sun and position location of the moon to its perception. Okay. So moon sets lines. Okay. 3-line connections, right? Sun sets a bigger line communication of sonar line channels of operation strings. Sun sets position of center calculations, opens all lines to its line position location calculations. Inline cell rotations, all levels of remote view. That's how it's set location. Now, the tractor beam sets line position of a dimensional realm. The sun sets a communication system position location of its triangulation. It travels very, very fast in all levels of second per channel per line. Now, per line opens up perception locations into 4-channel operation streams into a timestamp. Timestamps comes into 1 graph stream in 1 line setting, in rotation setting. So it's important you understand how the sun works in all ways and forms. Extremely complicated it is when you come into all levels of the product of sun. And the line communication system is to understand how it sets the locations of you through computer operation line setting. Okay. So the sun morphs into anything through triangulation lines of its consciousness. Sun sets its rotation and the moon sets its program location of its motion line setting. 2 line settings into 2-line settings. All right. Double helix location in sun communication to its moon setting. Okay. So this is all the true understanding how you come into formation location, how it sets its tone. Now, this comes into the signal line rotation interference. Let's say you got the moon line setting over here and you got the sun communication over here. Sun sets line position of 1 second, equal line center location of 0, 0, 0. Graph streams in position location of graph lines at 0, 0, 0, 1 position. Equal line connections into 2, a security line position to its track setting. Sun comes in position locations to the moon. Moon back supports its line communication into its triangulation in 3-line settings. Okay. So representation of you is true to understand how to set these things up. Okay. So the travel line set location of 6. 6 is dimensional line rotation, just an observation. Right. Observation location of 7. Equal line connection to dimensional line setting locations of 8. 8-line dimensional locations of 9. 9 position locations, all levels of 10. 10 position connections of 11, and set line, say, universe locations. All right, 20 minutes on the clock, travel line setting. All right, so you're just going to go through information panels of communication with the sun is in your rotation cycle. You understand the generation light streams, the allocate line settings, the future communication setting, the foundation graph lines, the interference line positions, your time frames, your time sequence, your time codes, the helix line connections, the comet, the Halley's Comet communication system, the graph line center, the northwest, south, and east, the galaxy shift lines and communication in position of Fibonacci sequence in 2-line settings in set locations in 3-line position. 3-line center location of 6, line center location of 7, line position of 8, 9 sets location into all ovals in your rotation setting to the sun communications of the moon. Have fun. All right, setting location settings. Very complicated, guys. We're in the sun now. This is just a review. Wait till all line setting location of a 7-day track line of your body's waters of communication. All levels of the grounds, the powers, the atmosphere lines, the Earth, the angelics, the space line, the dimension, the interdimension, the intergalactic, the galactic setting line interrotations, your positions to the angelics, your position locations to high lines of realms, your position locations to all levels of dimensional times of space, all dimensional line conditions of time, all clocking center locations, high center interference, position of formation, high communication line center picks off the streamlines. Once you come into the TV reception line of the sun communication setting, you're setting up the avatar and hologram structure, a division location of space and time of pi. Line direct line setting is to understand how to use the solar generation light streams of energy wash calculations. Flushing out your system. Giving you a new generation light stream. Allocate wires and calculation line setting. All volumes of phenomenal line change in line rotations in 1 second per line, per channel, per opera square, per mile. The communication is a calculus over factor over pi in time sequence times codes, time lines, time interference, at locations, getting you guys up in operation of the sun communication system of 7 days a week. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sets you in correlation of zero gravity line setting. The highest formation location of its number is not there. Mass of nothing is mass of everything. Calculation streamline setting. So there's a lot of communication settings in line setting, rotation, interference location, how the sun sets location to all levels. The sun is the communication that picks off your stream to your T reception line. The moon is the operational location to its face recognition line connection of its motion line, which connects on line setting. Now remember, the sun has the Schumann resonance of its location of its spectroscopy stream line, which is radiograph line setting. The moon has an operational location, which is Mother Earth. Set communication of father, space line communications, high setting, high line rotation, interference locations. Your positions to your grandmother and your position to your grandfather is the calculation streamlines of one signal, of one rotation, and one line setting. Okay. All right. So track setting locations, high setting generation light streams, set location your hologram structures. Revamping, recalculating high setting. So what it is that you are creating the position of the moon and the sun in a position of a kaleidoscope that's going through a remote view. And everything that you see is a projection location, the highlights of a security measure that opens up its videograph screen of a film projector. Okay. And everything that you set up location is a hologram line setting of your emotional line conditions of a track setting. Okay. All right. So let's go through that line. Adam, position of Cammy, position location of Sam. Sam is Nikki. Airbender, calculations of all levels. Gypsy calculations, dual line settings, Yolanda, high interference, communication setting, allocate timelines. I really want you to understand why it's so important to get you guys into your muscle memories of your chakra settings. Okay, you have to have fun with these things. It's the reaching the highest line of the inner line rotation to the outer line rotation interference. The inner line communication is all levels of you. Okay, you start off with the grounds, okay, of you, just in operation cycles. Now, the zero gravity set locations can change position locations and how you change your motion line setting. When you came into line conditions of Seraphon, which she was trying to understand the Merkaba. Merkaba is the positions to the geometric operation of direction, location, and navigation. It changes as line signals to your motion line setting. You have a tether communication system that opens a dimensional door line setting and 12 line setting locations. That's 12 line sets locations to its avatar that sets its signal. Now, setting communication line setting is the Fibonacci sequence to its position of its swirl that sets another dimensional line rotation in its calculation to a round setting. Calculation line setting rotations opens all calculations and how fast the sun goes in high setting to its position locations to all levels of morphosing and transformation. Calculation streamlines opens all communications to its radiograph line center of your T reception line communication setting. Brainwaving patterns, communication, alpha line settings, all calculation, data line streams, high line rotations, mega communication line setting rotations. The macro, the micro, macro communication line setting, alpha, data, line setting, all communication system, framing centers, calculation streamlines, allocate timelines, time streams, position line centers, zero graph locations, one line setting, two line center security. So try to understand how everything works in your 12 DNA, and all you're doing is reaching higher levels of consciousness through mind adaptation, alter state location. Stay out of the subterranean and you stay in a super conscious location above line setting. You stay out of the waters of 7 and you go into higher line center of the atmosphere line setting in your position location, your senses. Your calculation setting, when you reach higher levels of dimensional locations or intergalactic line centers or galactic line center rotations or megaverse communication system or multi-layers of dimensional line setting, gets you in position of where you're supposed to be through the inner core line center of your heart recognition line setting. Okay. All right, Ryan, so calculations, all of the Dina, set location of Danielle, Joanne, set location of Lauren, set locations, all lines, Tara line centers, Teddy structures, Laura, set locations. All right, so everybody's coming in line setting. Anita, okay, there's health, there's no location, new energy line setting, interference. Okay, Johnny, Guardian. All right, so how's everybody doing? Sammy, so do you understand why you need muscle memory? Muscle memory is based on the inner child of what it's doing. It's like drawing a picture. It doesn't have to have the imagination because it knows what it's drawing. So it's the avatar that sets the location, and it's you trying to go through the location, trying to understand what it is. So the avatar sets up, let's say it sets up 12 line settings, 12 locations, right? So what it is that you're standing there, you're going into your imagination, going into your phenomenon, and you realize the avatar just 12 locations right away. It's already set up. All you got to do is follow through it. So you get in the car, you're driving to its location. Now within that location, let's say it's a half hour. Okay, so that's 30 minutes on the dial. So you got the sundial line communication, and you got the moon location of its motion line centers, sets its shades and shadow communication line setting. You have to understand why there's a sundial of its geometric locations. If you get lost in the woods, you know exactly how to use the sun and the moon through shade and shadows. Setting communication line center indirect locations of the north or south and east. That's how you get in position locations into high line center location of a T reception line to moon set line center and operation signal and operation center to all communication system, all through Pix action extreme locations. Right? All right. So getting line setting rotations is to understand the power of recognition of time. Line setting is true to extend to get in point locations of what your sun is, all formation locations. It's a hologram structure of you. It's the reconstruct location of your simulation. So what you're doing is you're recorrecting dimensional line setting and expanding the mind of its map. Okay, and all you have to do, the center communication of you, which is 9 line setting, all you have to do is follow what the avatar is doing in its phenomenon of its imagination. That's a recognition of core lines that sets its position of its graph line setting, guys. It's very powerful when you get all communication of its awareness to its consciousness. The altered state of the mind is the highest formation location, especially when you come to the inner core line, center rotation, position line directions, to the inner child of self-development, the makeup of design, the rotation cycles, coming into Fibonacci, set line and rotation currents, setting communication operation line center, zero gravity, inherent location of line and rotation, position of security. Security set location to the 3 line settings. That's it. So knowing exactly what you're saying is already a precog. You're setting these line settings at all levels, locations. You set an electrical line setting that's already set up position locations. 3 days later in communication, there it is. You see electrical fence. Where'd that come from? I created it through line setting. See? Your reality changes when you understand you through emotional line setting. Your reality changes when you understand the sun through light code setting. Okay? This is about understanding how you merge the moon and the sun together to form yin and yang of 6 and 9. Do you understand how powerful that is? So now you understand the importance of why you have to be in muscle memory of your chakra settings. Okay? You have to have fun. Try to get in position out of its math and get in its math of its equation. The memory of the position of its atom is all correlated to its perception. Okay? Now, that's where it is in line signal. Thoughts change so fast in so many calculation lines sending to the moon and everything to the sun per second. You have a 24 signal line setting that's all position locations to its setting locations. To understand how to use this is all formation lines to your emotional line track, which is connected to your travels of recognition of space and time of pi. Okay? All right. You totally understand, David. Well, that's beautiful. I'm glad you understand that. All signals, relays, and sun review, debriefing by map setting. Very good, Chips. See? She's already in position line, know exactly what's going on. She's not confused. She's not triggered because she knows it's just a review. Why? Because she understands the intercon communication of its portal calculation setting to its reception lines of security to its grounds of zero gravity operation. Right? You have to get out of the total pole of going up and down. Right? Going zero gravity line setting, ground line rotation, interference, security. Okay, so that's right. There's 3 line settings right there. 3 line settings, locking in frequency, locking in calculation, locking in channel, sun communication, moon operation. Done. That's 3 communications right there, right? So you break these things down, break these things down, break these things down. Get into position of having fun with each number. Now, the pixel streamlines of the sun on Monday is going to try to understand you through picture frame. Calculation to its pixel, calculation setting, inline direct location to its sun of its light, of its setting to its gamma, to its radiation, to its matrix communication, to its GOD, the geometric operation of design. Each chakra is a representation to emotional line setting to its Schumann locations. The Schumann resonance is usually to understand the calculations to its grounds and position locations to your grandmother and your grandfather. Grandmother, a position of Earth, in the vibratory line setting and rotation of space and correlation line setting of sonar calculations to its echo chamber communication of its water containment system. Whoa. Now that's a chakra line setting, right? So everything that you do is correlated. You understand? It's color coordinated. And that's how it works inside of you. And all volumes and calculation line setting, all stream rotation setting line position locations. So every time you go into volume to each chakra system, you're going deeper inside of you. Okay? It's a very powerful video that Tara did. It's all about the chakra settings. So she was talking about each chakra you go through, you go more in, inner light, inner growth, inner line, inner development, inner calculation, inner sector, vector, quadrant setting. You go in. Not out, in. So the more you go in, the more you develop the computer operation line of your calculations to your moon setting of operation setting locations to its sun of its rotation of its pixel axis stream. So there's a lot to understand when you get into so many volumes of what you're doing and why you're doing it is the how operation works for you. Getting the balance of your moon and getting balance of your sun is correlating line setting to your positions of your radiograph screen line settings, all through perception. Okay. All right. So that's above. Yeah. I know there's a lot going on. All right. So a set of signal locations, all from 0 to 12, all through numbers, line set location of the sun. This is a correlation line setting, okay? Now, ground line setting line rotations is 36 line position of zeros of one off calculation. That's zero gravity interference. Two line setting line reductive line set rotation is the ground setting location of 00 2000 line setting. That's security line position over factor. Communication underscore line setting, back in communication line setting. So I reset security back in line setting, back in force line, back in communication, back in center communication with security and communication line setting. Three line settings, the Fibonacci. Let's go into double helix line rotations, back in calculations to galaxy lines, shift positions into two parallel communication setting. Setting communication lines of four set line position locations into solar calculation, streamlines and position locations in high setting. High communication system to position line directions to all levels calculations. Setting communication line generation light streams to timelines of heart reactor visual location calculations high setting. 6 position location of throat lines, throat pattern communication line settings. 7 line center rotation of theta communication setting. High interference location of mega in position of delta position of all levels calculation setting. 0 line 1 line 3 3000 line position calculation. Now 3,000 lines back in the Fibonacci sequence, back in pattern communication, back in security line position, 2,000 lines back in communication, zero gravity line in rotations, 1 in calculation, ground line center, interference line specification directions. Now we're back in the position location fitting line center location of 8 line center, 8 line center rotation, box interference times factor times pi, calculation over line setting. Allocate 9 line setting rotations, 9 energy wash communication system, 10 position location ancestry, highest interference, collective family communication line center, ether calculations, 4 crevice line center rotation, core records of timelines, 11 in universe line rotation, system location, position line directions, 12 eccentric communication, all levels of country line center rotation, that back in is zero gravity line setting. Done. You see what I just did? I had fun with it from 0 to 12. You're trying to figure these things out. And the only way to figure these things out is try to understand each chakra system is a representation of you. It's another formation of you. You, right? You have all that formation line setting. So understanding the calculations of the moon of operation, the basic foundations, and everything through its line setting, and understanding the sun communication line setting is all volumes of you through your pixoctave stream of your T reception on communication system. Right? Understanding the moon, position location of its modem to its Wi-Fi, understanding the pixoctave stream locations, because the sun communication has a position location of its modem, and it also has its Wi-Fi communication, but it's a battery setting. That's how they modify. That's why you guys have to understand your 11. What is 11? Solar system. What is 12? Country settings, right? Your divine, right? The divinity line and rotation interference is the male and the female aspects of you through calculation line setting. It's the basic understanding. To get in position location from 0 to 82 is the representations. So break it down. So what it is 0 to 12, right? You got that in position? Good. Now let's go up higher. Okay, so let's go from 12. Let's go from 12 to 24 or 12 to 20. So what you're doing is you're bringing the 12 of foundation, each one in each position, right? So try to get into that frame rather than 0 gravity, 1 is grounds, 2 is security, 3 is Fibonacci, 4 is rainbow wash. Nope, 4 is not rainbow wash. What is that? See, you're getting confused. Does that? You got to get the flow recognition line setting. And the moon operation is an engine. The sun operation is an engine. You have to understand the position location of 2. So in that line direct location, you're creating what? Double helix. What do you think rotates the film strip line setting? Now you understand what it is, the Fibonacci. Fibonacci is a swirl, one way and another way, one way and another way. So how do you balance out the 2? How do you balance out the 2? Your perception, your intention. Fibonacci swirls in so many communication line settings, going in the same direct locations, but one is offline rotation interference. What are you doing? Are you creating a dimension? Are you creating a portal? No. It's got to be in the same continuous flow together, right? Right through, right? So Understanding the calculation lines. Once we get out of the sun line rotation interference and the 7-day line centers, because we got Monday to Friday in line center rotations and calculations, that's locations, right? Monday is your test on the moon. Next Friday is position line setting locations and high center rotations to your sun calculations of a test setting. So I think what I'm going to do, the set communication line setting rotations. So Monday is position locations to its test about the moon. So I think we're going to track line center. Next Monday is your test on the sun. Okay. We got to channel up and we got to go faster. So it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Blast off. Right? Always keep the foundation with you when you go into higher levels if you're trying to get into its muscle memory. Okay? So try to use the scales of calculation streams. Try to use the metric communication line setting. Try to understand the energy line cycles. Try to understand the teleportation communication system. Every chakra has its number, and the number represents you through a frame that graphs its system location to its high setting. It always has a gravitational pull that grounds your system to its earth line setting. Because if you don't have the grounds of you in your earth perceptions, you're never going to get into muscle memory. Okay? That's the importance. You have to understand how it works for all levels of you through line setting rotations, right? What is 20? What is 2? As long as you keep the line settings, you split it, position down line settings, space, time, male, female, positive, negative, odd and even. Okay? Light and dark, moon and sun and moon. All right? It's all representation location to one number sequence. Because 1 is all levels of everything. And anything through correlation, merge is into anything through morphosing line setting of teleportation, of transmutation, to its calculations of its teleportation line settings. Of GOD, geometric operation of design. So this is what you guys have to truly understand, because I know you guys are trying to your chakra settings. Like, so, okay, how do I get into this? You know, I don't know if I could do this. General says this and general says that. Well, it's all formation locations. You have to commit yourself to do these things because you have to look at the chakra system as having fun. If you're not having fun with the chakra systems, you're always going to get in hesitation. And you're always going to get anticipating because you don't know what happens next. But I know 4 line center is the solar line center rotation interference line conditions, solar stream interlocations. 5 is the timeline center interference. But what is 3? I don't know. Well, if you don't know 3, you obviously don't know how to count to 1 to 12. Is a direct signal. Okay. So it's basically understanding rotation interference. Taking you guys out. All right, you guys are out. Close your windows, your panels, calculations. Pre-navigation line setting, check, all set locations. All right, so counting is kind of like understanding the position of form. Every word, every letter, every shape, every symbol, and every number has a position of a psychological interface, okay? It's the psychosis locations of view, how to channel its operation of its design. You're using your imagination of its phenomenon, okay? So it's very simple to do these things, guys, to get in your muscle memories, because I know your test is on Monday and everybody's freaking out, you know, because they don't know what to do. So line connect, that's line connect, but it looks like a line. So inline center rotations, it's already in 114 position line directions. I don't have to set up the number sequence location. It's already set up. All right. So really understand that you come into communications, 0 gravity, 0 line center location, in set locations, right? 0 gravity, all right? Coming to communications to your pyramid line center rotation, all right? There's your pyramid. Setting communications. So you got 0 gravity, equal line conditions of 1. 1 equals line position of 2, 2 position location of 3, 3 position location of 4, 4 position of 5, 5 position location of 6, 6 position location of 7. And there you go. So you do the same thing in line center rotations. Back force triangle, 0, equal line connections of 1. 1 equals 2, 2 equals 3, 3 equals 4, 4 equals 5, 5 equals 6, and 6 equals 7 communications. There it is. Spine communication line setting, graph line setting and rotation to its position location, all levels of travel recognition. Okay, use your foundations in all ways through stream setting. Okay, so, and remember, everything to set location is its pi. This is pi in between, right? So how long did it take you to get from 3 to 4 in time? Okay, how long did it take you to get from 4 to 5? Okay, in time, right? How long did it take you to get from 5 to 3 in time, right? There it is. There's the pi. So you go from 3, right? You go from 3, okay, and then you go into 4, and then you go into 5. So there's the pi position location of 3, 4, and 5. There's the pi. Space and position locations, all levels, dimensional setting, open up a portal communication into 12-line signals. Now, this is very complicated, but this is what you get into once you understand the position of its target setting is all number, sequence, locations, of patterns of interline setting location. Balance in the motion line centers of your moon through your numbers, and balance in the communication of pictograph, the streamline centers, your hologram structure locations of your numbers in sequence locations of travel mechanism line setting in its correlation. Okay. You have to have fun. You have to have fun. You guys are getting into a test and like, oh, I don't want to do a test. I don't like tests. It's based on what you already know. Okay. So really get into that line setting, guys. It's very simple to understand what is the pi. Pi is everything calculations, right? Everything around you is pi. Pi of this, pi of that. Okay. Home plate, first, second, third, home. Right? It's the ball, outfield, right? How do you think they set this up in baseball? How do you think they set this up in football, right? Quarterback over here, throwing over here, throwing over there. It's all levels of plan, right? So you just have to understand what it is. There is pi, right? Pi, equal connections, and factor locations of map. Okay, so it's all about understanding. So he gets the first base, right? Second, right? Throws it home. Okay. Another batter comes up, line signal, hits the ball, home run. Ooh-ah. See how that works? In line setting, line and rotation interference, I want everybody to watch Brad Pitt in Moneyball. Okay? Schematics, line setting, and line rotation interference, and position of metric communication of numbers, how you set location in its division line center to its correlation line center to all calculations of its perception of its form, of its memory setting locations, into its mind setting to all calculations to a baseball diamond. All right. Moneyball. All right, it's Brad Pitt. It's fantastic. Okay. Yeah. So you got the weekend and you got your test on Monday. All right. So always use everything of pi. Pi is the geometry operation of you and anything that you do, anything that you see. Right. So you have to understand the space of time. How long does it take you to get from here to there? Mass equals equation. E equals MC. Okay. Of square. The energy line, the equal connections to its volume communication of north and south. Mass, a calculation of volume. And its communication of to and from of pi. Okay? Get a position line directions, what E equals MC squared. We are going to be doing a test on that. That's a basic foundation line setting location near 12 DNA. Okay? The process calculation setting location is a three-dimensional line setting that sets up its location of gap. The gap is its graph. Okay? Through the position location of its atmosphere of its perception location. All right. So it's true to understand all levels of U through its calculation of its division. But you guys are now in your sectors. Your sectors are higher levels of consciousness of your dimensional settings. You have to really recognize all levels of you through space and time of pi. Okay? So if you get into that frame line setting and then you get into your chakra setting and don't try to think about these things, everything will come into a flow recognition of time as space and space of time. Okay? Time of space, Fibonacci. Space of time, Fibonacci. Oh, wow. Time of space, rotation another way, space and time, another way. Put it together, double helix. Woo! So you use everything in your life, which is a life force. But the more you interline your setting to your chakra setting, you get a better understanding why you are here in calculations of calculated locations of space-time through factor over calculation, 2 pi. Okay? But that's what it is. The double helix is going one way and it's going another way. Time is space and time is space. That's all it is. You put it together, you got a double helix. What does it do? It creates a cycle, right? And you travel through it. Whoa, look at that, multipass. So now you understand why it's so important to understand your chakra settings. Try to get out of the formation of what a number is and try to use it as a life force calculations to get what you want through your abundance location of travel, guys. All you're doing is you're setting your avatar to set a higher level communication into its geometric operation design of its direction of where it's going through its dimensional location of space and time or time and space. You understand? That's why it's so powerful when you come into that line setting. So, yep. All right, so where are we? Oh, I'm just going to go through back force channels. Drop in the dense shadows, delete programs. Yep, into the moon cycle locations. Yeah, the lighter side of the moon and the darker side of the moon is coming up. Okay, because remember, once you get in your 114 of DNA line setting, of track line setting locations, you guys are just in your number lines. You got to get into your positions of your letters and shapes and shadows and communication settings. You have to get into a major grid setting. You have to get into a anomaly setting to higher communication to what numbers really are, what symbols, letters, shapes to its harmonic setting is. All right. So that's why we're all in level communications to numbers. Okay. Equal line connections of letters, equal line connections of shapes, is locations to a system. Numbers, letters, shapes, and equal line connections of symbols. To all levels into an algorithm. Okay. So, very powerful what you guys are coming into. You guys are doing incredible. It's so many line settings, but just try to get out of the thinking. Try to have fun with the number line setting. Try to see these things through visualizing position location in a different way setting. Because it's not the 0 and 82 you have to understand. It's the process of how it works for you through your life. Right? And you realize, whoa, I just went through muscle memory in seconds because I know what it is. Because I'm having fun with it. If you don't have fun with your numbers, how are you going to understand anything if you don't understand what it is from inside location? Okay? Because it volumes you and what you do next. Okay? So don't forget, right? No class tomorrow, right? So you guys have the weekend. I recommend you guys going through live, going through your numbers again, going through your tracker settings, and get into watching Moneyball. All right. Have a fun weekend. Adios.